Yeah, can the White Sox just fucking light this dude up next inning? Like,
For real, dude. Rookie, first time ever out there. Just,
Moncada, maybe don't pop it up in the infield twice today.
Thank you for listening to Shy Sox Talk with your hosts, Chris and Matt, your weekly place for White Sox fan reactions. Kick back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, and enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to episode 24 of Shy Sox Talk. My name is Chris, as always here with my trusty co-host, Matt. Great mustache. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. We got mustaches. We're ready to party. White Sox are 2 games over 500. You know, it kind of seems like they've been playing pretty good for 2 months here, so hopefully they can continue that trend.
First time they're 2 games over 500 since they were 6-4 after the Tampa Bay Rays series beginning season. If anybody remembers that, we were at one of those games.
We were.
It seems like a long time ago. A long time ago to not be 2 games over.
Yeah, seems like it was 100 years ago.
It absolutely feels like that. So we'll jump right into some of our viewer questions here. We'll start with Ben. Ben asked us, will Luis Robert ever become the player he's supposed to be? I'll let you kind of hit the lead off with that.
100%. Yeah, I think he will. You can hear me, right, Chris? Okay. Yeah, we're just scratching the surface of how good he can be. And he's had that like vision thing and dizziness, so maybe that was affecting kind of his play this year. And who knows how long that has been affecting him. We don't really know. He probably doesn't really know. But I think he's going to be a like 5 WAR guy minimum for his entire career, because he does everything you want him to do. The only thing that's negative with him is kind of his plate approach sometimes, but it seems like that's kind of just a mental lapse when he's chasing balls out of the zone. And there's, times during this season where he doesn't chase anything and crushes the ball. So I think we will see him be a perennial all-star MVP type guy. And I fully believe he will get there.
I do too. This is technically his 3rd season, but really if you look at it, he hasn't played a full season yet. He played the shortened season in 2020, which was 60 games. Last year, I think he had about the same, like 65 games in there. So he hasn't even hit 163. This is his first full season. He's going to get there. I think the big thing for him, and we're going to get into Frank here in a few minutes, is just laying off the slider. It's kind of a team-wide problem, but him more specifically, just being able to lay off the slider. Tonight he already has a walk. He has a single. For reference, they're playing the Rangers. But he's already won a Gold Glove in center field. He's fast. He is everything you want in a player, and he's also, super aggressive. And we saw flashes of it, like that Mariners game where he stole 2 bags, robbed a home run, not maybe like a double. Like he can single-handedly win you games. You'll see that for the next. They got like 4 more years of him.
He can absolutely take over a game, and he's just a beast. And you got to remember he's not that old. He hasn't even played a full season yet of 162 games, and he's just going to keep getting better and better.
I absolutely agree with that. Second question coming in here from Southside Sox, aka Jose Abreu enthusiast. How long do you think the White Sox will hold on to Jose, and what are your thoughts on TA7? You can handle this one right off the bat here.
Yeah, with Abreu, like Jerry Reinsdorf with the White Sox and the Chicago Bulls has been fiercely loyal. That's one thing you can say is a negative about him. I kind of think it's kind of a positive. But he takes care of his guys, and I think Jose Abreu is one of his guys. So I think Jose Abreu will be on this White Sox team for as long as he wants to be.
I think so too. Part of me thinks this might be his last run, but the other half of me thinks like he's going to tell the fans that it's his last season. This past offseason, he talked a lot about his family and going back to Cuba, and maybe he's just hinting like, the end of the road's coming. One thing I think that might happen with him is he plays DH next year and Andrew Vaughn's your everyday first baseman. I think that's a very real possibility, but I think he's going to be a White Sox for as long as he wants to be on the White Sox.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting old. He is getting old. And this could be his last season. He kind of seemed like he was wavering on that. It's the end of his contract, so maybe he does hang him up after this season. But if he doesn't, I think he will be on the White Sox. I don't think he wants to play for another team, and I don't think Jerry Reinsdorf would let him leave.
I don't think he would either. I mean, I think if he does play another year, DH, because I also think the White Sox are ready to have Andrew Vaughn as their everyday first baseman. As much as I love Jose, I think the team's just ready to kind of have Vaughn out there. They don't want him in right field anymore. And also with Oscar Colas and Cespedes, one of the two will probably be your 2023 right fielder on opening day, or at least 2 weeks of the season if they do that whole team control thing. But he's going to be here as long as he wants. As far as the TA7, really good before his injury. Since his injury, I don't know if it's a mental thing or what that might be, but he's been good, but he hasn't been like really good.
Yeah, he hasn't been himself, but he's still been like a decent player. Seems like he's been trying to pull the ball. He always tries to pull the ball when there's people on base for some reason. And I think he just needs to keep the same approach with guys on base that he has when he's, batting with nobody on.
Yeah, I think his biggest strength, if you watch his plate approaches, his best plate appearances are when he takes the ball in the opposite field and drops it in the right field or hits it over the right field fence. You saw that in New York against the Yankees. You see that, typically when he leads off an inning, for whatever reason, when there's guys in scoring positions, he just murders the ball into the dirt right at the third baseman and just GIDPs over and over. So I don't know if that's something he just needs to relax and understand that he doesn't need to do himself, or have some faith in the guys behind him in the lineup.
Yeah, I think it's all mental with him. And I mean, when he's struggling, he's like a 300 hitter. And when he's on fire, he's like a 360 hitter. So it's nice when a slump is a 300 hitter. So
you'd rather have that than, I don't know, literally anybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
The defensive thing, it kind of, it's always kind of been a thing with him. He's always been a little up and down. When you misplay 3 balls in a game, though, a little worrisome, but at least it only happens once in a blue moon. Don't let it happen.
Yeah. I mean, there just seems like there's no accountability with this team, with the manager, because he's probably asleep or doesn't remember the plays that happen. So hopefully he's gone next year, and you kind of just have a little more intensity coming out of the dugout.
Absolutely. And then the last one from Matt, not this Matt. Matt didn't write it in his own question. With the hitting coach, Frank Mendocino, it seems like the team is just singling teams to death. What are your thoughts on him, and do you think you need to change? Before you answer, Matt, I pulled up a little bit of info on Frank Mendocino today and his team. So teams that he has coached, got a note here. This is where they've ranked. He was with the Marlins from 2013 to 2018, Charlotte hitting coach 2019, promoted in 2020. With the Marlins, they ranked 30th, 24th, 29th, 29th, 19th. That was the year Giancarlo Stanton hit 59 home runs, 30th team home runs. Since he was the White Sox, shortened season, they were third in home runs, last year 19th, this year 25th. I think it's him. I think it's a philosophy thing with him, because every team he's coached has not hit the ball far.
Yeah, and he didn't get anything out of the Marlins, and those guys, there was players on those teams. Yelich, Stanton, JT Realmuto. That team had hitting talent, and he got none of the power out of them. Not getting none of the power out of the White Sox. It could be an approach that he's coaching. It could be that he, swing playing is a huge thing. And maybe he's not a guy who really thinks about that. Like, make sure it's kind of an uppercut swing and getting the ball in the air. It could just be he doesn't see the issues and he's not correcting them for the players. And I think he should have been fired a long time ago this season.
Absolutely. I think he should have been fired in April when it just felt like everything was dying in, lazy fly balls in the outfield. The one thing that makes me feel like it's him is when he shows up in 2020, the White Sox, short season, but still you're the third best home running team, hitting team. Last year, all right, you didn't have Eloy and Luis, but you're 19th. And now this year you have Luis for most of it. You got Eloy for, I don't know, you'll have Eloy for a little bit of it, but you're at 25th right now. That just isn't an acceptable thing. And his quote saying, "F the home run, just get hits," is not the way Major League Baseball is being successfully played right now. If we were in 1980, maybe he's being
maybe without the shift, like that works. Maybe next season hitting singles all over the place is going to work a little bit better because they want to have the shift on. But right now, when they have the shift on, you're hitting it straight at guys.
And you see that the biggest person that affects is Gavin Sheets. I won't lie, I complain about Gavin Sheets all the time. But what are we doing to fix Gavin Sheets? What are we doing to help Luis Robert? What are we doing to help Andrew Vaughn? Like, what are we doing to help these young core guys that we have to become perennial all-star, silver slugger type of players? I don't see it. I feel like he's getting protected. I feel like he's getting protected by somebody, Sam like Tony was getting protected, and it is driving me insane that these were the two guys the White Sox were like, World Series window, these two, and we're going to protect them the whole time.
Must be one of Jerry's guys because there's no reason for him to still be with the team. And I understand that the players have to play. It's mainly on them. But you just got to get rid of the hitting coach. You got to try someone different. He's not getting.
You can't fire 9 players. You got to hold somebody accountable.
Yeah, it's a systemic issue, so it's got to be coming from coaching down.
Yeah. Next new little segment we have here. We're going to call it "Are You Worried?" I'm going to present Matt with 3 to 4 different situations, and he's going to tell me a scale of 1 to 5. If he's worried, 1, not worried at all, completely trust it. 5, very worried, and would send that person or situation to the sun. So first one, are you worried about Yasmani Grandal?
5. Very worried. The bat looks heavy, and that is not a good thing for a Major League Baseball player. That thing should look like you're swinging a broomstick, but it looks like he's swinging a freaking piano.
And his defense has been, for his framing ability, great and all, but everything else, like ability to block, ability
pass
to
balls, throwing guys
everything.
out. I don't think I've ever seen him catch a ball thrown from the outfield to home plate, ever.
We'll look at Yaz's.
I'm like, literally, I don't think I've ever seen him catch it.
Yaz on the season, he has 2 home runs and is currently slashing. Pull up here, 191, 289, 234, and 523.
Yeah, he's like not even getting on base. He has not hit a home run in 82 days.
Oh yeah, it was first Kansas City in May, which is not what you want to see at all. Second situation here for you. Are you worried about the White Sox ability to catch the Minnesota Twins and win the Central?
I'll give myself like a 3 there, which is kind of like a coward's answer, but I think it could go either way. Really, it really can go either way. If Yohan Moncada and Yasmani Grandal don't start hitting for power, they're not going to go anywhere in the playoffs. You still might be able to win the division because I'm not impressed with the Twins even after the trade deadline. Not impressed with Cleveland. So I'll give it a 3. I think it could go either way. But if the Sox play their best game and start hitting home runs, they will be unstoppable in the American League Central. And then get in the playoffs, see what happens. But if they don't hit home runs, they're going to be in some trouble.
You always want to make the tournament. You always want to be there, but you don't want to get bounced in the wild card in the divisional series. And then the wild card's coming back this year, folks. You got 3 somewhere. You don't want to get bounced in the first round every single time. This team's pitching has looked a lot better as of late. which gives me hope that they can catch the Twins. And plus, the Twins and the Guardians play like Houston and Toronto and the Yankees all coming up this month. And the White Sox have a really easy stretch. So there's hope.
Yeah, Joe Kelly's starting to kind of look like the guy they thought they got. So I think he's cut his ERA in half, which probably wasn't too tough because it was at 10.
He also didn't have a spring training. I'll give
neither did him or Lance. So maybe they got through their spring training and they're going to be there, at least close to what they're supposed to be.
And the last, are you worried about Michael Kopech's innings?
Oh.
He's on pace for 140, which is about double what he pitched last year.
Yeah, I mean, they'll probably have to start skipping him. And maybe come playoff time, maybe he goes into the bullpen, as a couple inning guy. Maybe have Ronaldo be an opener for a couple of his starts instead, just to keep the innings down, because it looked like his arm was dead for a little bit, but it looks like he got some of that velocity back. So maybe basically that's just the thing that happens. Your first year actually being a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, your arm dies at some point, and you just got to pitch through it until it comes back. Sometimes it doesn't come back all season until the next year. Sometimes it comes back, but it looks like his arm's back. He's got the velocity, he's got the break on the pitches. So I'm not worried. I think the White Sox will manage it well. That's what Tony La Russa's. That's what you got him for. He's like the pitching, guru. He knows which guys to put in and when to pull them. And we've been getting lots of rest for the starters this year. Position players, so hopefully, Tony's working his magic with Kopech. So I'll give him like a 2 on that for worried.
Yeah, and when Michael's arm is on, he has the best run rate on a fastball in the majors. One thing I'm kind of surprised that Ethan Katz, maybe they've talked about it. Obviously we're not in those discussions, unfortunately. But I'm interested to know if Ethan Katz or even Lance Lynn or somebody's talking about adding a cutter to his arsenal. Fastball runs arm side, cutter's going to run away from guys. And with everything else he has, it could be a nasty.
Yeah, that could be a devastating pitch. That's like kind of the Don Cooper way to be a pitching coach. Just every single pitcher learn how to throw a cutter.
It worked for Mariano Rivera.
I think if Kopech could figure it out, he'd be pretty devastating.
Absolutely, because his fastball has just, if you watch that, it'll run in on a guy like an inch. And you add a little cutter, you don't even need big break on it. Just enough to make guys think. And his
pitch tunneling's amazing. So he kind of throws everything out of the exact same arm slot. So it's it's really hard. He does not give you a hint at what pitch is coming until it's out of his hand. So with if he could throw the cutter too, it'd be pretty devastating.
And he could pretty much eliminate the probably the curveball or the change in his arsenal if you could add a cutter in there and go basically Lance Lynn style and just throw a bunch of different fastballs.
And his last start, he was just hucking a ton of sliders, kind of taking that page out of Dylan Cease's book, and just ripping the slider. And Dylan's slider is the best slider in baseball. Might be one of the best sliders ever.
Dylan Cease, 2-time back-to-back AL Pitcher of the Month. Not an All-Star though.
Not an All-Star.
Not an All-Star. Didn't play for the Yankees. We got to get as many Yankees as possible in the All-Star game, even if they're not going to pitch. Just as long as they're there.
Get him in there.
Get him in there. We need a minimum of 6.
Yeah, it's like when Kosuke Fukudome made it for the Cubs and he was batting like 170, or Jason Varitek for the Red Sox when he was batting like 200 as the starting catcher.
You gotta get the big names in there as much as possible.
You gotta get the big teams, not even the big names.
Just the big teams.
No one even knows who has these guys.
Their fan bases will buy tickets to the Home Run Derby.
100%.
That's the thought process behind it. And then the other big thing, obviously, was recently the trade deadline. The White Sox made a ton of moves, so we'll go ahead and grade it here. The one move they made was Reese McGuire for left-handed reliever, left-handed relief pitcher Jake Diekman. What's your grade on this? Thoughts
After this his two appearances so far, I think it's the best trade ever made by the White Sox because they needed that left-handed. Tanner Banks was holding it down, but I don't know how long he's going to hold it down for. And he looked pretty good. He looked like prime Chris Sale the last 2 times he was out there. And they got Reese McGuire. They were playing with 3 catchers for a little bit, so you kind of knew one of them was going to go. And Reese sucks, so they got a good player who I think maybe his ERA was inflated just because, a lot of people were seeing him. His ERA outside of the AL East was a lot lower than in it, so maybe the familiarity. He looks like a good trade. He's a good player.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I give the trade itself an A-. If you would have left Reese McGuire there, Tony Lewis would have fought to send somebody else down so he could play 3 catchers every day. He put Yaz at first, Reese McGuire behind the dish, and Sebi at DH, so he could have all 3 of his catchers in the game at all times. He was thinking about that. He's delusional.
For whatever reason. We're not sure why.
But, basically the White Sox, this issue kind of stems from the White Sox not being able to move on from players. They traded one failed prospect for another, Zach Collins, to Reese McGuire, and you turn him into Jake Diekman. And this is almost also like an addition by subtraction. You might get Aaron Bummer back this year. Don't really know. Not a doctor. But Tanner Banks was not like the big left-handed arm that you needed in the bullpen. And Jake Diekman might be. I mean, he's a vet, and
I think Bummer's supposed to be back in September. So if you get both of those guys in, that's 2 good left-handers. You'd be able to just absolutely shut down left-handed hitters.
And you'll let Tanner Banks go live in Charlotte again.
Yeah,
I'm okay with Tanner Banks living in Charlotte again.
Yeah, me too. I like Davis Mills though. I think he could be on the team next year, maybe.
Davis Mills, and who else? Jimmy Lambert. Let's go, man.
I like Jimmy Lambert when he first came up. I think he came up in the shortened season and pitched like a game or 2 and then blew his arm out. And I always liked his stuff. He looks like he's found a home in the bullpen right now. So and he's pitching pretty well. So I'm happy for that. Happy for Jimmy Lambert to fight through the injury and come back. He looks like he could be a piece.
Kind of feels like Ethan Katz is like finally figured out like one guy. Well, at least he figured out something in developing somebody.
I don't know about this Ethan Katz guy all of a sudden, being honest, but we'll see how the season ends up. But
I don't know, his prized horse is looking bad.
Yeah, he pitched through a rough inning last game, so he fought through it. So that was good gutty performance by Lucas. And I like Lucas. His fastball's really down though, so we got to figure that out.
I think he's lost like 4 velocity, 4 miles.
Yeah, he's like throwing it like 93 miles per hour. Last year he was getting it to like 97. So you'd like to see it at 97.
And a part of what made his changeup so deadly was there was like a 15 mile per hour difference between that and his fastball. So He needs to get that velo back up. Looking down the road here, we got tonight against Texas. They're tied 1-1. Pre-game prediction was 7-2, so it looks like we're off the pace on that. But you got 3 more against Texas, 4 against Kansas City. We should see each other by then. So you got 7. What's the we'll include tonight? 8 games? What do you think they got?
8 games. What do I think they got? 6. We're gonna get 6 wins.
6. I think you get 6-2 too. Go 3-1 against each.
You got to go 6-2.
You have to, and then and we'll be able to lead up to that big old Houston and Cleveland back to back, just plugged right in the middle of this month.
You got to beat those weaker teams. And they've played good against, pretty decently against top competition. That who they've been getting their ass kicked by all season has been the American League Central.
Yeah,
the Guardians and Twins have been, kicking the socks in the teeth here, and I don't really get it because neither of those teams are very great.
How bad does that 8-game, 7-game, 9-game, whatever that was at the beginning of the season stretch look now? When
Brutal.
It was the Twins and the Guardians in Kansas City, that freaking Kansas City extra inning game. It was an afternoon game. I remember it. They fought back. They went to extras, and then there was an error by somebody, and Kansas City loaded up the bases and just put up 6 in the top of the 10th, and then the White Sox 1-2-3 just struck out.
The real heartbreaker was the Josh Naylor game by the Guardians, where he single-handedly murdered everyone on the White Sox 8 times.
Grand slam and a 3-run shot. That and not walking Byron Buxton. Why are we pitching? There's a base open. You're cool with walking Trey Turner on a 1-2 count. Walk Byron Buxton on a 2-0. What are we doing?
That's what happens when you got a guy who falls asleep during the game. What's he do? He does not know what's going on. That's the only explanation for some of his decisions, is he just does not know what's happening.
I would, yeah. Hey, Tony, we're at a game, right? The cameras can see you. What?
Honestly, if he has any self-respect for himself and his legacy and his children and his grandchildren and his friends and his colleagues, he will retire after this season. The guy's falling asleep during the game, the first inning.
Please retire, Tony. And anybody defending him being like, maybe it was just a bad time. Yeah, it was a bad time to fall asleep in the first inning of the game you're managing. Real bad time to fall asleep.
Yeah, he's old as shit, so,
He's got to be tired. Hit
the old dusty trail, old man. We're done with you.
My grandpa was that age. He was tired sitting in his chair. There's no way Tony La Russa isn't hammering 5-hour energies before.
I don't blame him for falling asleep. He's an old man, but don't be managing my favorite baseball team. You're too old.
Manage the Twins if you're going to do that.
Yeah, anybody. Just Jerry Reinsdorf's I got you, Tony. I'm going to do you a solid here. I'm going to blow up this World Series run here by just getting a corpse in the dugout.
Because I regret firing you in 1978 or whatever it was.
84 or 5 or something like that.
Do you got anything else? Any other lingering thoughts rattling around in there for you?
If Johnny Cueto gives up another leadoff hit, I'm going to freak out tonight.
Oh, he just did.
I know.
So.
They got to win tonight. They keep blowing the first game of a series, and it's pathetic. It's because they're not ready to play. They're not ready to play.
They got a rookie on the bump. First time in a major league field, and they put up a run because somebody dropped a lazy fly ball.
I mean, they're getting hits. They're putting people on base, and then they're just double play.
GIDP.
Double play. Put the ball in the air, people.
Hey, Frank, change your approach, okay? Worry about home runs. Don't just worry about getting hits.
Just put the ball in the air.
They all score. All right? I don't know if you know that, Frank and Tony, but if the ball leaves the park, everybody gets to score, not only the batter.
Also, if there's a guy on third base and there's less than 2 outs, hit the ball into the outfield. I don't even care. Don't just put it in the outfield. Let him tag up, please. Please.
It's not a contact play.
Bases juiced and there's 1 or 0 outs, put it in the outfield.
And if you can't do that, we might as well just start bunting. We might as well just start bunting if you can't put it in the outfield. Honestly. Bunt with the Oz. Who cares? It's better than
all we're going to do is hit singles. Maybe we
do.
do. Yeah, maybe you do need to play small ball. Maybe you do.
They might. Oh, here we go. No. All right. Guess not. It's double play. I thought it was double play. White Sox are alive. White Sox are very alive, regardless of what we said.
Yeah, I mean, they have not played great, and they've fought through they've had a lot of injuries, and I know that that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse if you're on the team. If you're a fan, that's an excuse, and it's pretty reasonable because they've been missing core players for large amounts of time, and they've held steady, and they're finally over 500 here. They've been playing decent baseball. They just haven't been scoring a lot of runs because they don't have any power. So that if they get if they get the power numbers up, they're going to be unstoppable, and at least in the American League Central.
Yeah. And you know what? If the pitching staff keeps pitching the way it's been the past month and a half, you really only need 4. Just 4. I don't play professional baseball, but punching 4 across doesn't seem like an impossible task. It's not like you're asking them to score 9 a night.
Yeah, bullpen's looking pretty good right now. Starters are looking better. Lance looked like Lance last game.
Yeah.
Giolito looked like he maybe figured something out. I just hope they make the playoffs. I would really love to see 3 years in a row because that's something that's never happened for the White Sox.
You just got to make the party. You just got to make the tournament, get invited to the party, and anything can happen at that point. If you're there, look at Atlanta. Anything can happen.
Look at anything. Say you're matched up against the Yankees, right? What if Aaron Judge slips on a bat in the dugout and he's out? There you go. Anything. Like one injury could totally get you into the next round.
The White Sox are one bad inning from having a 4-3 record against the Yankees. They're 3-4 against the season. They're one bad inning away from having a winning record against the Yankees.
And if they didn't go on that huge 8-game horrible in division losing streak, we're looking at the season a whole different way.
Absolutely. I mean, you take 1 against the Twins, 2 against the Guardians, and 1 against Kansas City, you're probably in the division lead.
You're probably the front runner for the entire season.
Yeah. And we don't have to talk about how this is the first time you're 2 games over 500 since you were 6-4. So, go Sox, man. That's really all I gotta say to wrap this bad boy up.
Yeah.
Go Sox. They're alive.
Also, go to Sox. My word of advice: if you ever have the opportunity to go to both games of a doubleheader, I highly recommend you do it. It is very fun, very tiring. It's a long ordeal. You got to find some real good buds to stick it out with you, and definitely a place to drink between games. If it's a split doubleheader, highly recommend Turtles. That's my go-to spot. Right a couple blocks away from the stadium. You can walk right there. But I highly recommend planning it if you can, because it's very fun.
Do that. Everybody do that. Next doubleheader, everybody buy tickets. Okay, I'm not gonna be there, but maybe we'll see Matt there. So if I'm there, it's party. Go Sox.
Go Sox.